Hi bafethu, welcome namhlanje angazi ngithini mfethu. Hayi. No, I'm very very excited, so humble Junior Thabo Khanye. Mfana se Dave 2015-20 Brazilian. Yeah, Brazil, Sao Paulo. Bayibiza nge-South America. Namhlanje ngiphethe genius mfethu. The guy who gave me the platform, I'm not going to be ashamed to say that. One of the genius person. I don't care who says what anyway. Ngisipane nabantu ababhaya, but engwenya lenzima kakhulu for me. The knowledge, I'm talking about life general. Angikhulumi nge-football life general. There's a lot that I've learned as a business person. I've started my channel. It gave me a foundation. Which you know, I'm pick up and come a second round, not playing football. Nkululeko, my brother.
Yes, sir.
Don't forget, hashtag bet with the best, hashtag well sport betting, and amanje on. Bet Nkululeko, my brother. Gunjan, my brother.
The grand for it. Otherwise, you good?
No, man. I'm so humble, emotional, also exciting as well. And excited.
Thank you for inviting me to your channel.
Yeah.
Say a computer now.
No.
We have iDiski TV, you have Junior KHANYE KHOHLWA, say computer.
No, we can't compete Diski TV because man check Diski TV. I think I need to be honest about 300, almost 300 subscribers. Tina with just with 6 months. 10, and we learning from Diski TV.
Niyazabalaza.
Yeah.
And now you budget, you drink, not an spammans.
Yeah, asancenga Nkululeko.
So you don't even have a budget for a stone.
Yeah, asancenga. Next time you'll get the oros. Yeah, no, Nkululeko, without mfethu waste this card.
Sure.
Mfethu, it's an honor for me to have you here. I know you're a business person. There are things that you're doing. But who I am to talk to you, to tell people ngawe. I think so general ngawe. Yeah. With the respect, abantu obvious Nkululeko, they wanna know. Ubani Nkululeko, ubuya kuphi Nkululeko, yabona? And yeah, where was uzalwa kuphi and Nkululeko ubani mfethu?
Sure. So I was born in Cape Town, KwaLanga.
Yeah.
And I grew up in Nkululeko, and I'm from a place called Enyanga, a KTC. So if you are flying to Cape Town and you land at the Cape Town International Airport, kunemikhukhu lapho imijondolo. Indawo yakhona iBarcelona, enye bayibiza iEurope, enye bayibiza Lusaka. They're very interesting names. So when you land at the Cape Town International Airport, the first shacks you will see, I come not far from there. I was born in 1990. I'm Xhosa, and I grew up all over Cape Town, basically. Oledlam Belina 17, Balreipa, wazalwa mina. So I've never even had a father. It was a family hlanga. So ugogo wami bekuwumuntu, she was a mixed race person, kuwumuntu ombhekile. Mawumbona ngathi ubona umlungu.
Yes.
Mara bekangathatha responsibility ngabantwana bakhe. So she had 6 children. Abanye bakulikasi, family members, abanye bakwenye ikasi, kanjalo. She was a good-looking woman who loved a nice time. Ugogo wami, umama kamamama. So she left my mother and maybe one other children, my aunt, kukasa bayibiza ukuthi KwaLanga, an extended family. So this is where my mother was raped there. Maybe 1989, mina ngazalwa ngo-1990, and my mother was 17 years old. Naye akazange akhule nobaba wakhe, akamazi. Ugogo wami njengoba ngisho ukuthi she was a beautiful, gorgeous, light-skinned woman. She looks like a white woman. She was a mixed race person. Yabo. So bekangathatha responsibility for abantwana bakhe. So I was born into that chaos, and mangizalwa KwaLanga bekunale jive yokuthi my mother was raped there, so waxabana imindeni, and then they left baya kukase bathi igugu lethu, another extended family there. Ngaze maybe when I was 6 years old ngablomenyanga. So anyways, all of these places umuntu ongazazi, when you land the Cape Town International Airport, the first shacks you see there imikhukhu nemijondolo. You will see indawo ezifana nabo Barcelona, Europe, Lusaka. So I'm 5 minutes away from that, where I grew up. So I grew up in that kind of scenario. Oletu wami unabantwana bayi-3, yimi and 2 of my sisters. 1994, 1998, mina ngizalwe ngo-1990. So she had to then obviously pick herself up from that incident. Naye ukhule without a mother and a father, so naye she ended up becoming a drunkard, umuntu oziphuzelayo nje. Yeah, but fortunately, because I became successful umuzi wami ose-Cape Town, I gave it to her. She lives there.
That's beautiful, wonderful.
With my uncle and my family. But I come from a really fucked up family, and that's not a bad thing. Like singabantu abaninzi abamnyama,
we all come from there.
siphuma kwimindeni enjalo.
The foundation, I always talk about the foundation.
Yeah, exactly. So I came up from that, but it's very interesting ukuthi ngwazile ukuthi ngiphume lapho ngiyibone life ngithi okay ithi ngizizamele umuzi ngizithengele umuzi. I have 2 houses, so and I'm still hustling as well, trying to build myself up, and you've seen my family as well.
Yes.
You know, so le family nginayo mina le yami. You know, it's something that I had to start from scratch. I didn't have an example yokuthi ukuze ube nomuzi umfazi abantwana, how do you do it? Because I never really grew up in something like that. Yeah, bo. Yeah, bo. So yeah, so I had to build that from scratch because I was coming from nothing. But it's a miracle when I look at it. I'm like, it's a miracle ukuthi umuntu angakwazi ukuzenzela into enjalo. Yeah, bo. Lokho kusho ukuthi someone can come from nowhere and become something. Yeah, bo. Ungaphuma noma kuphi, noma uphuma emijondolo emikhukhwini, but you can make something out of your life. So basically, I always, like even recently, it's interesting that you invited me here. I was telling my daughter, ngixoxa nayo incosi yami ina 12 intombazane. I'm like, it's unbelievable that you are here. Sizblomele masababsini. Mara, if you were to look at where I come from, you wouldn't believe that we could live like this. I was saying that to her, basically, cleaning my house and all of that. Yesterday we didn't have a match, so I'm cleaning my swimming pool. We're enjoying ourselves. And I said to my daughter, it's unbelievable that when ubloma lawen and when Mautanda, you will never have to work. Yeah, but she will have work in any of my companies. If I end up becoming very, very successful in the companies, she will work there. She will never have to work, but this is not something I would have imagined in Sasa Intwana, yabo. So gulang phuma khona ndoda, like ngumuntu wasekhaya ngXhosa, like I speak Xhosa.
I know.
And I'm from the township. You know, and yeah, I come from a very violent place. Indawo engiphuma kuyo ine violence eningi. So football was something that I turned to. Njengoba kunodlame abantu bedubulana bebulalana la eKaslami. I used to use football as something to escape that world.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, bo. Even when I was 8 years old, for example, ngikhumbula ngibuka i-1998 World Cup. Bafana qualify for i-World Cup yokuqala ngo-1998. And I remember ngena bathi Smokolo, Shipin, eKaslami. Ngena kuma-tavern, because besingenawo ama-TV. It used to be one house or a tavern and a TV. And I was 8 years old in 1998. And bengibuka imidlalo ye-World Cup yonke until the final. uZidane makashaya iBrazil yakho. iBrazil yakho. Exactly. In that game, I watched about 10 p.m. and I was 8 years old. Because I was growing up in chaos. Beninganamuntu was looking for me, where are you, come back home and all of that. Bengibashiya mina abazali, bezidakelwe ngihambe ngiyobuka ibhola emathavenini ngisasena 6, 7, 8. So for me, football changed and saved my life because I was escaping from the chaos I was growing up in.
Yeah, I think a situation yakho it was a calling. Me and you meeting, calling.
Yeah.
Deep kakhulu. That's why it deep Nkululeko, when I see my brother, it's very emotional. When you tell me such, because I grew up similar, and that's why I need part now it's a calling. I think best sofundisana sikhulisa.
Sure.
Abenzima kakhulu mfethu. There was no one who can come close to. So Nkululeko ngesipane nawo mina. I've learned a lot. Abantu abacavi yabo. Yes, being a footballer nokukhuluma nefootballer akufani. And I've never went to class mina for coaching. I've learned about Farouk. I need to be honest. I've learned about Farouk and ngokudlala, developing me. I've learned from Botet. I need to be honest. Those are two people I will say. Yes, coaches are manya spanile, but people that I've learned most, they took out the best of me. Mang spana now, the knowledge in feed. You know, somebody can ask you questions. Mawuhlele endlini noma uyiphendulile ubuze masopeke mhlawumbe ubukele that video. Ubuze ukuthi umuntu nama question abuzayo. Akusama question bewangabuza number 1. I watch SuperSport, I watch SABC. You don't get search questions. Mina ngifuna ukwazi ukuthi Nkululeko, did you play football mfethu? That's a question of mine. First, did you play the game? Even if it's amateur level, and how old were you when you playing? Because ngifuna check foundation yakho, the knowledge you've got now. Did you play the game? And which league you were playing for? And how many years more? So
I played only in school. I never got to be professional. If ever played one game for Kaizer Chiefs, I would like I would be crying tears because that's the greatest football club in the country ever in the history of this country, and to play one game, just you got the opportunity to get that. You know, I only played in school, but where the knowledge comes from is reading. I was always curious about the football. Benginokufunda nani nabotso ku Kick-Off magazine and read my interviews when. And then I graduated in Sasana 15 to 20 to reading my autobiography. Uyazibona incwadi la endlini yami.
Yeah, ziningi kakhulu.
When you see, like I'm still reading a lot of them about Arsene Wenger, Alex Ferguson, Pep Guardiola. There's also other books as a deep, stats, data, ngebhola, science, yebhola. So I got interested in that from a very young age. Maybe when I was 20, ngiqala ukucoacha. So bengispana, ngihambe university, I dropped out and then I went to work. Mangispana, mangibuye span, bengibuya ngicoach eKasi. So I used to own the amateur football club in Outjame Sekaslam. So in that journey, I ended up becoming even the secretary of my football association, Enyanga, which is one of the biggest football associations in Cape Town with over 30 clubs. We even have a club called APC Motsepe League. So I was the one who was overseeing a lot of things there, ngenza ama fixture for my club. So my football interest was deep in a sense that I'm still reading about football. There's no weekend where I don't watch football. And also I was involved with grassroots development, doing D licenses, C licenses, and stuff like that, GUCAF or SAFA D license. Yeah, but so it was not just limited to playing. I only played at scale, primary school and high school, you know, but I was also involved with KASI, with just coaching kids and being an administrator in football. So there's no one way of being involved in football. You can be a player, you can be a coach, you can also be an administrator. Yeah, exactly. Nathi sama broadcasters manje ngebhola, because there's so many things that you can do in football. So even when I was young, from a very young age, in my early 20s, I was involved in leading organizations zebhola, ukudraft ama rules, ukwenza fixture. I did that for like 5 to 6 years before I decided to move into working in media.
So when you start coaching, like in Jabusho, you were involved as a director and also a coach. How old were you by then?
I was 2021, because bengispana and ngibona ukuthi angicane ukuspana, like it feels like there's a gap in my life. Even now I don't work. Anginawo umsebenzi engiwenzayo. There's a gap in my life if I'm not doing anything ehlangana football. So when I was working, mangiphume span, I used to go and coach. So sometimes you leave your house at 8 in the morning. You go to work, mawuphuma ngabo 4, and then you go to training. Training phela ngabo 8, and then you only get home ngabo 9. And I did that between 20 up to 27. And I was also the secretary of my LFA. So kunama meeting, kunepolitiki futhi kuyaxatyanwa. Ipolitiki eseKasi ke neyikhundla, kuyadutyulwana, stuff like that, because people want to be presidents and stuff like that. So from a very young, I'm 35 now, I'm still young, but from a very, very young age I was involved.
Shocking, at 35, but the knowledge.
So I was always curious about football. Like nokuthi mangizibhlomele ngidlala PlayStation, there's something on the radio that's playing about football. I'm listening to something. I'm listening to football interviews, football shows. I also do football shows with you guys as well. So most of what my life is around is about football. And it was shaped by that period where I was participating in football. And even after we do iDiski TV, I don't know when we'll stop doing iDiski TV. I'll go back to my hood and I'll do development football. Njengoba now wenza development ushaya ku-Junior KHANYE Foundation Academy, and also Notso na shaya development. Sonke since we are involved one way or another.
Giving back, and we try to keep this platform.
Exactly. So I will do something like that. I feel like even now something is missing. I don't want this thing of talking. Of course, yenza imali lento senzayo, and we feed our families. But I'm tired of it sometimes because I want to still be involved, coaching kids. And some of the kids I was watching, I'm still following the LFA, Minyanga LFA, and you see some of the kids now baya coach, intwana who's coaches na 12, managers na 22, and they are also coaching as well. And that's one way of giving back to a township.
Yes.
Ekasi kunengozi yokuthi umuntu angangena kwi-gangsterism, stuff like that. So when you give them the option, this is football, you can do your D license, your C license. You don't even have to be professional. Just need to have something to do every weekend. For me, that makes me proud. Now they are becoming coaches and they're doing something on the weekend. They're not or gangsterism. So I've always just been curious about football, not just because I think inking esinayo la South Africa ukuthi umuntu makabheka iPirates neChiefs neSundowns kubo i-football iyaqala iphele lapho. Like, I'm going to watch Chiefs and Sundowns and then that's it. But you have to actually be involved. Guma LFA, coach kids. It doesn't cost you money to coach into under 11. We had under 11, 11, 13, 15 and 17. Basically, I'm a senior. Even now, you have that same thing as well. Now imagine those were 80 to 100 people. Amachita ayakhareza yencenga wana mali. So you have to do card for bona. Card was Safa, they look like
tough,
ID cards.
Yes.
It's 50 rands to do that. That back in the day it was 20 rands into Anabegui 10 rand to do that. And sometimes you spend 3,000 rands and awunayo. And then uxabana nomuntu ohlala naye endlini. And this used to happen to ama coaches ekasi. A lot of them they end up breaking up with their wives because they bazama ukuncenga le ndaba yeDiski. And umfazi uyakhala ukuthi asinayo imali. But you have to do those cards because if you don't have a card,
You never participate.
exactly, or you lose the game. Sometimes
Bagrolela.
bagrolela, but you're not already
Doing friend.
it's a protest, exactly. It's a friendly match because you don't have cards. So the football doesn't begin on television. Football starts at grassroots, Guma LFA, and we were participating in that. You're still participating in that. So Lindo is participating in that. We are football people, and it doesn't start and end on television. You have to be involved. Ukuze sibone la machita adlala ku TV, they have to be coached eSoweto, Orlando, Davidton, Tembisa by people like ourselves, normal people that coach under 11 kids, under 13 kids. So for me, like I've always loved that side of football as well, more than just playing.
Yeah, my question is you. After the things that you've said now, mina the way ngikwazi ngakhona indaba esigela. The knowledge ngikhuluma nge-education manje. I know how powerful you are. Talking to you, the knowledge ngikhuluma nge-education. Kule ubuya kwenye background fethu nje bushilo and there was no support. And without the foundation, kunzima mfethu. For you to take it direction, ufunde kubani and ubone bani. I mean, I'm talking ukuthi I believe lebo unayo ukuthi mina by education I'm going to make it. Yabo. Ngifuna ukwazi ukuthi esigela yini ebekuphusha uzuqeda isigela my brother. Ngikhuluma ngase background mhlambe bone background i-backup amongst the family.
I hear what you're saying.
Yes, and also in football to balance it because I'm sure in mindset njobusho the way you grew up it was very difficult.
Yeah. Yazi Junior, the interesting thing is that bengazi mina ukuthi ngazisokolela makunama trip escala I'm not going to go. Sometimes awunayo impahla yokugqoka i-shirt lidabukile. The reason why I persisted ngescala ukuthi bekunale it's an illusion ukuthi okay, so ukuze ngiphume kule ndlala ngikuyo manga ngathola nje matric certificate, like that's the thing, like that's the idea ukuthi I'm not, you were talented with football, so at least you could have a way out. So was talented. Many people about Richard Ranchi, all of the guys were talented that at least if iskela singahambi kahle then at least ungazama kwindaba yebhola.
Yes.
For me I was thinking because actually even ukuphuma kwami ku-matric ngimpass u-matric, I went to university ngenza into bayibiza i-BCom accounting because I was very good at school. But bengizicabangela nje ukuthi if I can, when I was young I was thinking if I can get this matric because I can see that it's fucked up here. La edladleni kuyaphuzwa every day, like every day kuyaphuzwa. So I'm thinking okay, mhlambe ngayibamba le matric certificate ngiyoncenga kubo Pick n Pay nabo Shoprite because I never had any pride. Mina when I was a kid all I wanted was a 2,000 salary or a 3,000. Ukuthi okay, if nginayo le eyami futhi I can be able to buy myself shoes, I can be able to buy myself a t-shirt, none. The fortunate thing, Junior, and I think this is something eshaya amajita amaningi. Into fortunate ukuthi when I was 7 years old, I opened a magazine and then ngawafunda amagama ne. Then I was like, why mina ngikwazi ukuwafunda la magama? Like English words. It was not perfect English. Mara ngiyamhlanganisa little. I'm like little. There. Like, then kwahlangana nasesigele yabo because I could then if I can be able to read kusho ukuthi umbuzo abawubuzayo eclassini ngetest ngiyaw understand ukuthi yini le bayibuzayo bayifunayo kimi, then I can write it down. So between the ages of 6, 7 and 8, and I think also nokuba curious ukumamela radio because I've always been obsessed with radio and I still listen to people. I listen more than I talk. So I was listening to radio a lot when I was a kid. I could tell you, oh, voice kaban banli, voice kaban, all of that shit. So the moment it was over for me, the moment I could be able to read. I am here today because I can read. Like I could read. Because being na machita and being funda now, sonke futhi, we have the same example, whereby out dorm, there's no one at dorm. Like the fact that I shy more to hambe mkaqweni, kusho ukuthi you are clever enough. Like you are alert.
You're able to see.
Yabona, amehlo yabona ingqondo yakutshela ukuthi the car is gonna hit me. It's just that people have a problem where they don't know ukuthi oh yinle no little. So if you can't read, kusho ukuthi you're gonna fail good test. Not because of dorm, like there's no such thing.
You know it's
just that you are struggling to be able to read, and therefore, kawa to grade 7, kawa to grade 11, grade 12, basically we are dropping out. Yeah, but so for me, fortunately, I don't know where this came from. I have to tell you, it never came from any parent or support. I was doing my homeworks, my assignment while I'm alone. It's just that one day, I opened the magazine and I saw something, and I'm like, oh, I was so excited. Like, I was like, oh, wow. Because then the world kind of changed. Because ngesikhathi besifunda sasebancane, utishara bekama on the board, and he would say, Tina, where we come from, ekasi. Umntu ongakwazi ufunda eligama nzambetha. I'm going to hit anyone who cannot read this. And they would do it. Pa, 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 pa. So when I was 7 years old, doing grade 2 or grade 3, suddenly my world changed because no one is going to hit me anymore. Angeke bangishaye utishara because I can read. So I would be the first person to raise my hand, and then they would beat everyone. Not to say that's a good thing, actually. Akumelanga ushaye abantu because they can't read. You were supposed to help them to know how to read.
Yes.
Yeah, but we're supposed to help them. About teacher, that's your job. But they used to hit us a lot because we couldn't read. And on the day that I could be able to read, then suddenly the attitude, even the teacher, like their attitude towards me was kind of different. So I was always motivated to because I come from this messed up situation, and it continued to be messed up until I started working. I knew if I can just get this matric certificate, then ngizohamba ngiyoncanga ngespan. So that's why even in the first year university, I went to a University of Western Cape, UWC, and I did well in my first year. I passed, but I didn't have money. I'm still broke. I still have this background. So then I decided when I was 20, I'm dropping out and I'm going to work. When I was 20, I found a job. And my life changed ever since. Like I decided, I'm going to take care of myself from that job. It wasn't even a high-paying job. I was earning 5,000, which is the same thing I was thinking when I was a child. If I'm just spending 5,000, then I can Then when I get promotions, I got to up to 12,500. I took a pay slip wami and ngahlanganisa ngahamba ngaya ku Capitec. Now I'm 24 years old. In Spanish since I was 20, getting promotions when I was 24. Hlanganisa ma payslip wami Capitec wanginikeza 100,000. This actually happened in real life. Ngatenga mina RDP yami. This is where my mother stays now. Literally, I just did that because when I was a child, I was so hopeless ngabantu abaphuzayo that I was like, my goal was just get this matric certificate. Masa unespan because I don't drink, I don't smoke, all of that. So that's a good thing. That's on my side. If I can have 4,000. And when it happened, I did it. Like I did it. It's not a lot of money. 12,500 is not a lot of money. But when I got it, I took my payslip. I didn't have any debt. I was like, I'm going to Capitec. They gave me 100,000 because it was my first ever loan. Then I bought that RDP. Then I stayed there and I was broke because I had to pay late debit order. Young shy, like 12,000. I think I had to pay 5,000. So I was left with no money. If you think about electricity, DSTV, transport, I was left with nothing. But basically, it came from when I was a kid where I was like, my situation was so bad that I was like, like I had this thing when I was a child, why ngakuli? Like, why am I fucking 7 years old? Like, why ngakuli? Because I told myself, if I'm 19, I'm gonna take care of myself. Like ngizophuma kule nto le. Like ngizophuma kule
mindset.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, exactly. It's a fighting spirit. That's why sometimes me and you, when we watch the game, sinokuwabheka amajita, aluze ibhola kayi-1, ubone ukuthi umuntu yambona ukuthi the game is over for him. He was trying to pass the ball and he misplaced the pass, and then the game is messed from him because mindset. Like, yeah, exactly. The character of saying to yourself, oh, fuck it, I'm going to try again. I'm going to try. Mina, when I was 7, 8 years old, I had this thing where I am going to make it, but ngizozenzela ngokwami. Like no one will do it for me. So I did exactly that from when I was a child.
Yeah, that's so powerful in educational as well, because it's not how you start and how you were born.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people need to learn this. Not only footballers, mindset with the character. Talent only is not enough. Abantu bayezwa now.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful. And show it mfethu. I love it because it's so in our inside. Nkululeko engifuna ukuyibuza mfethu. You went to work at Trope University.
Yeah.
And now I want to find out. A career football, when you start now, as far as I saw, if I'm not mistaken, last getting first job it was Sokalatuma.
Sokalatuma in media football.
Yeah. You worked for Sokalatuma. How did it?
Sure, that's a good question. So I'm 24, ngiyasipana call center. Fortunately, because of it discipline, unokunikwa man's responsibility are more. Okay, wena leader labantu, you are one person supervisor abantu by 15. You were part of those 15 people, but then then you become something bigger, a little bit more. So when I was 24, I was still coaching team yamli amateur. Then 3 years from that age, 24, when I bought myself a house, ngisancenga lapha call center. So a call center ngina 20 until I was 26, till 2016. When 2016, kuphuma advert. This is you will get these opportunities ngokumamela. So kuphuma advert ku radio. I-radio ithi ingaba ukufuna uba ngumsasazi webhola thumela i-email, and then they say the email address. If you want to be a commentator or a football presenter, send an email to. So kune radio station about Radio Zibonela. It's a local radio station eKhaya, which is like 30 minutes away from where I was. But I used to like listening to their sports show, and then I'm still working at the call center. But one day they have this audition for I'm a presenter, and I know I'm good in football because I'm still reading about football, watching football, still coaching football. So I went to that audition. There were like 30 to 50 people there. There was a lot of people. I was very late, but fortunately I was one of the 3 people that they selected. People. 30 to 50. It was a lot of people.
1,000.
No, 30 people. Mafika kunabantu by 50. Abame line in.
Yes.
For that presenter audition.
Yes.
And then I was one of 3 people who won that audition. Yeah, but then bakufaka ku radio booth. Now, because I always liked radio and I listened to radio, njengoba umuntu presenter, I know how I would present mina because I had never been ngiyafunda njengoba I present because I had never been trained to do it. But then when they put me on the booth, I'm like, oh, I know. What do they want? Maushaya is sports news. All right, in the news today, Bafana coach Hugo Bros has been fired. The Belgian, who's 57 years old, blah, blah. I know how to structure that just by listening to other people do it. So I did it. And then I was one of those 3 people who got that audition. So that was in 2016 when I was 26 years old. So but I was doing that job, call center, pay my bills. Then I was volunteering with radio, the one that I just won the audition for, after work. And I was also doing a football as a secretary of my LFA and also owner of my amateur football club. So I was doing those 3 things at the same time. I couldn't stop Ispansam because it's a community radio station. But when I was at that community radio station, you see, you go to an environment, you see, okay, what advantages can I take from here besides radio? There is a studio at the back. La ungas recorded la demo nan. So when Sokalatuma in 2017, when I'm 27, 1 year later, Sokalatuma qala into abayibiza ukuthi podcasting. That's 2017. Because Sokalatuma newspaper uyayifunda ama interview. Mara manje ku-website yabo bazama ukufaka i-podcasting mara audio eyomlomo kanje. Sizikhulumele not i-podcast enama-camera. Because i-podcast originally iqale ngokuthi kwenziwe lento sikhulume mara abantu abasiboni. So they wanted me they wanted people anyways to do that. So lapho e-Radio Zibonele, I used their facility to record myself.
Sure.
And then ngathumela kule out le uJason le oyaziyo. That was my first interaction.
Business partner.
Exactly, our business partner, the guy that I started iDiski TV with.
Yeah.
That time he was working for Sokalatuma as a supervisor of whatever, as a web editor, different things. So yena uza ne-idea yokuthi lama interview la siwanza ku-newspaper asiwashaya ngomlomo futhi abantu bawezwe. yeah, but website, they can hear those interviews. So I became the voice of that. I sent him my demo from his Bonele, and then he called me in December 2016 in December, ukuthi I'll see you in January. Ngahlangana naye ngoJanuary 2017, March, officially I started working at Soccer Laduma. Now they started paying me enough, ukuthi I had to quit my job where I was working, and then fortunately, that was my entry kwindaba ye-football ukuthi ngisipane kuSoccer Laduma. So kuSoccer Laduma bengishaya ama-interview. I was going there every day ngikhulume nawe kanje. Yeah, because I'm an interviewer. I did maybe between 500 and 1,000 interviews there over 2 years. Swinama awards and individually kwaSoccer Laduma, because I know how to ask people questions, because I listen to people. I listen to interviews. I listen to someone saying something 6 years ago. Then I remember when I talked to them, oh, you said your mother was killed in a car accident when you were speaking to someone else. How was that? Blah, 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 blah. So I'm a very good interviewer. Yeah, but so I interviewed people. We won awards, made a little bit money. Then, ngo 2017, 18, kuqala into abayibiza ukuthi Massive Metro. Massive Metro uyaqala nabo DJ Sbu, nabo Zola 7, nabo Bani, even nabo Jabupule, Macfish, all of these guys were there ku Massive Metro. Mara bebenganayo ama update we sport. So mabashaya indaba zesiZulu. Bebeshaya indaba zesiZulu, mara ingekho into ethi in the sports news today bachaza ukuthi kwenzakeleni ku sport. So they had a partnership no Soccer Laduma, so that mina ngibanikeze indaba zemidlalo. So that's where the relationship with another person that you know, Utif, Tyron Willems, started, because Utif is the owner of a Massive Metro.
I remember you told me.
So when Tiff starts this relationship with Jason and myself, they were looking for news stories, Zepola. Then in 2018, Jason uyahamba kuSoccer Laduma is coming to Joburg, because Soccer Laduma is done in Cape Town. He's coming to Johannesburg, ukuspana ku Massive Metro, in 2018. In 2019, 1 year later, mina ngoMay ngiza ku Massive Metro, I leave Soccer Laduma. We came, myself and Jason, with the idea ukuthi masifika lapha ku Massive Metro, because we have to pay our bills nani. So ncenga ku Massive Metro, but we are here to start a media company. We will call it iDiski Media. Igama le YouTube channel so ibiza iDiski TV, igama le newspaper and website so ibiza iDiski Times. I came up with those names, iDiski TV and iDiski Times. But it was me and Jason, both of us saying, masifika ku Massive Metro, let's not take too long, because we were growing. In 2019, I was turning 29. I think Jason was turning 33 or 34. So we were growing up, like we're going to get old. Let's start this idea and implement it. Jason Ingamle is a white guy.
I know him.
Yeah, but so we came to Joburg, and then we decided, Saspana go Massive Metro. We didn't have money ekuqaleni. So ukuze siqale le idea yethu ka-iDiski Media, we're not going to have money to pay people. I knew I wanted to work with you, because when I was working kwa Soccer Laduma, benginokufunda lapho bekubuza uma masebeqhina, the journalists there will ask you a question ukuthi, Junior, what do you think of this new signing at Chiefs? And you would say something, and I was like, oh, this guy, you're never in the middle. It's either you don't like it or you like it. And the people now, but they are never in the middle. They don't like what you're saying or they like it. Like people will comment a lot. That's why the first, ngifika May 2019 at Joburg, I was 29 years old. I spoke to you in July. It was May, June. On the third month of being here, I drove with Justice. Justice was driving, and we spoke to you.
I remember. True.
And we tested this idea yokuthi masikhuluma nawe ku YouTube. Will people watch it? Now we started a YouTube channel with 0 views, 0 subscribers.
Yes.
That's the episode of Sifaka Yako. It went to 200 or 300,000 viewers. That's what I knew this was going to work. That was when we had to then start a way of, how do we compensate people? How do we do this? How do we formalize and professionalize this thing? But literally, it started there. Uguti, I knew from reading the people, because they would ask John Tlale, Steve Legole, whoever, like former players, Banagubabuza, Uguti Tabanga in a title race, Parades, Sundowns. Someone will say something and then people, okay, whatever, he said something. But when they were asking you, people will hate it or love it. It doesn't matter, but you would make people feel a kind of way. Lento leyo bayibiza ukuthi engagement. It means people want to listen to what you're saying. Whether they like it or not, they will come back tomorrow. Now I knew that, because I read. I was reading a lot, even in the period I was working, I was reading. how can I be successful? Reading different books, and I knew ukuthi, if we can get the party engagement, boom, we got it. So then I spoke to you about it. In December 2019, the same
I
year,
remember, yes.
spoke to you about it because you were udlala ku-ABC Motsepeli.
Yes,
Limpopo.
Limpopo, yeah.
Mngwabe City Motors, and I said to you, we met at Nando's somewhere, Westgate or Eastgate. I don't know.
Eastgate, yes.
Yeah, one of those gates, Eastgate. So I spoke to you. You were with your mother and your family as well,
Kids,
and then we spoke, and I showed you on a laptop. This is the thing I want to do with you. Now, give us some time. We'll try and get someone to be able to pay for this because Nati says Spanela says Ngengela was earning 20,000, Jason was earning what he was earning. So we have families as well to feed, and I was also renting in a new city. So if we can try and find someone who will be able to pay the whole thing, the staff, yourself and Justice, then we'll be good. Now you bought into this thing as well, which I thank you for that you put your trust in me to say, no, we can walk this journey. But you were very clear, look, it was, as long as you pay me, we won't have a problem. And we never had a problem since then. So then it's myself, Jason Aker. These are the two pioneers of iDiski Media. The problem is those pioneers are broke. So someone has to pay for it. So we go to the owner of Massive Metro, Tyron Willems at TIFF, and we say, yo, we'll break this bread because there's always 100% of everything. This pie will break it into 3 parts. You will take 33.33, we'll take 33.3, whatever. Then he took that and he said, you will pay people. Fortunately, we already had an existing relationship with uTIFF ngoba sishiye uSokala Duma siza kuspan sakhe vele. uTIFF spana ku Massive Metro. So fortunately for us, we were one way or another, even if that thing failed, we were still workers at Massive Metro, so we were still going to be making our money. But we knew this thing is going to work out. So basically, that's literally my journey in terms of, I never had any other job other than those jobs. I worked at a call center for 7 years doing different things. And then I was volunteering in Kuma LFA, Nanani, coaching kids. And then I spent 6 to 8 months at Radio Zubonele, volunteering there, doing a sports show. Fortunately, I used their facility to record a demo. Then I went to Sokala Duma, the biggest football publication in South Africa, or even in SADC, in the Southern African region. And then we did Massive Metro. When I was at Massive Metro as a radio broadcaster, as a head of sports, Inspana Nabo Chris Bongo, Mark Fish, Chabupule Matlangu, I was working with all of those guys there. Nabo Itumeleng Panda, the younger ones now, at KHANYE, I was the head of sports there and also doing my own show, working with William Lehong. And then eventually, when the timing was right, we did iDiski Media. And we've been doing it since 2019, so it's been 5.5 years, something like that.
Yeah, Nkululeko, it sounds interesting, Fit. And Mfuno, I want to ask this. You work at Sokala Duma and there's different teams. There's 3 big teams in South Africa. There's Chiefs, Pirates, Sundowns.
Yeah.
And there's rumors that some of them, especially these teams, I think it's team 3, they've got some percentage shares in media. I just want to know, not Guti, it's something that you know. I'm a challenge we watch all. I'm talking about agents as a journalist. What challenges you were getting as a journalist? In terms of ECP story,
yeah. So fortunately for me, ngifike with division ebese iqala podcasting. So I was not writing my stories as a newspaper reporter, as a journalist really. Bengishaya mina lento yokuthi
the podcast
kumele ngithola ama interview mhlamba by 4 and ngizamele wona and then we interview people. But I understand what you're saying. The time I got to Sokala Duma, bebene case enkulu ye Chiefs. So bashaya story Sokala Duma, one of the journalists. Bashaya story ska Lucky Baloyi. Now, the problem, Lucky Baloyi begai midfielder at Chiefs at the time. The problem was that Lucky Baloyi said, mina angshanga interview no Sokala Duma, kusi imekhuluma. Usokala Duma, unfortunately, and I won't blame the institution, sinama journalists, everyone is working, and kumele record the interview yakhe, inkulumo yakhe nomuntu. It's not every day when someone is doing an interview, the owners or the leaders are going to be listening to the management.
Yes.
We will take it, we are so that means the interview, we submit it, because when you submit the interview, we are ibala, based on submit a foot in a file audio, so that if anyone needs to listen to it, they can listen to it. Mara le file audio, it's not available for immediate. We are file and supervisor, na interview, ngibhalile na my headlines and all of that. So each I've made when I was at Sokala Duma was Chiefs did not allow Sokala Duma to interview their players, and then they take Sokala Duma to, it's like a courtier media, ombudsman, who to look, nikhuluma manga ngoba akusiwula khipha loyo. You're not allowed to talk to our players. So in media, like generally speaking to your question, in media manje ine-drive ukuthi kumele sizame ukubalansa noma yini siyenzayo ne-relationship esinayo ne-club. That's why masibuka TV. The reason why iDiski TV became this thing, it was thanks to you, obviously, but also broadly speaking, we have the freedom to say whatever we want to say. And it's abnormal ngoba if you watch television, SuperSport will have one way or another, they have to maintain that relationship that they have with their stakeholders. SABC have to maintain that relationship that they have with their stakeholders. That's why people are leaving television and they are watching your analysis, whether I'm a Friends Way to TV or iDiski TV or any other platform, about George Mukwena, all of them, they are going online to listen to a post-match analysis because they realize, Ogoti le sibuga TV, it is washed down, it wishy-washy, like you don't. We're going back to the drawing board. You don't remember anything that someone said on television.
That's like, why I'm asking.
But they will remember what you said. Fighting no one, fighting South African football, whatever. They will remember your catchphrase. They will remember the thing you said. They will hate you for it, but they will come back tomorrow to listen to it because no one remembers what. And I'm not even attacking the people on TV. I love TV. But the problem that they have is that they have stakeholders. So, for example, uSuperSport, this is not an allegation, ubhatala i-1.5 billion ukuze abukise imidlalo ye-Premier Soccer League. So they pay 1.5 billion over 5 years to show the matches on television la thina siwabukayo. So they pay that money to the Premier Soccer League. So kuSuperSport, it's not their interest ukuthi bathi mabebuka umdlalo bathi ayikho kodwa lento le. And Tina, we go through that every time. We go to, hi man,
and watching the game,
you are watching
week in and week out.
Exactly, and you are watching it like, like, what is it like? Where's the entertainment in this thing? But on SuperSport, you can't really say that outright. Not because it's a club, but they have to maintain that relationship because they pay 1.5 billion to show these matches. They don't have an interest. Also, but dingukuthi abantu babhatala ama subscriptions wabo. So akumelanga bayikhulume kabi le product le bafuna ukuthi abantu basubscribe kuyo. So they have to always find a way to say, well, bad day in the office, go back to the drawing board, none. But they can't be like us on the internet because we are not being paid by SuperSport or by the teams themselves. So we can say whatever we want to say, not even maliciously. We can watch a game where there's no shots at target, no goal scored. What are we supposed to say? No, it was a bad game. It was a waste of our 2 hours. And everyone else who's watching, 5 million people are watching the whole South Africa and we have to watch this game. No shots on target. People are misplacing passes. What are we supposed to say? So there is that dynamic go media. And also, media, itumela ama journalist, guma club every week to get ama clips. Gavin Hanti, Belajima, namhlanje uzolana Chiefs in. So the journalists will have to go to that club every week. So the journalist doesn't want to offend that club. Yeah, but like even now, Chiefs angeke kuvumele ukuthi ungene eNaturena because inkulumo mhlambe abancane, yabo. So the journalist has to find a way where they can't really say things because next week they have to go to Orlando. Next week, they have to go to Sundowns' training ground. And all of these clubs have their own sensitivities about what you say about them. So that's the beauty of what we are able to do online. But it's difficult because these teams are now saying you can't get an interview. In fact, the only time that Sokala Duma would get an interview about the Chiefs, and even sometimes the Pirates, was when they go to Bafana Bafana. Because at Bafana, you can call Matlomola Morake or whoever is a media officer at the time, and then they can Bangakzameli interview. So it's a very difficult terrain to be in media because the clubs get offended. Sometimes, Maupala is story saleng, njengoba senzakala manje. Now, you could be writing, it's your responsibility as a media, ukuspala story. Because mhlambe you hear from the agent, oh, this is the situation. But then what if Orlando Pirates doesn't like it? Now it means your journalists, when they go there at Pirates for a media press whatever briefing, there is going to be some negative tension. Yeah, but and I'm not saying Pirates only. I'm saying clubs in general. That whatever you write about them, they will begrudge you for it. But it's your job as media to report it anyways.
Yeah, Nkululeko, nguzukhuluma enye into and it's I've got two questions for you, Mfit. One, you spoke about you went there, you were listening to radio station before you could go back interview lapayana Jason ku Sokala Duma. Ku podcasting Sokala Duma. And you went there, you knew exactly what you were going to say. Your mindset was ready. Your mindset. But now Nkululeko, it's not easy. First time now. Pela, we can talk about it. Into sikhuluma kanje manje, and let's say ngithing ngifuna ispan, and now airport call me and say mhlambe I went to school, I graduated at school as a pilot. Yabon, airport, I went there, I graduated for whatever. Airport ifuna I go there. But going there and present that practically and reading about it at school, and I found there was cameras, I'm sure. There were cameras, mindset, Sokala Duma,
I've never had a problem with confidence.
I wanted to know that.
I've never had a problem with confidence because I knew that I am going to be the one who changes my situation. It comes from the thing that I was telling you earlier on. The thing is also, yeah, sometimes thinking a confidence, sometimes I don't do anything I don't do. Like, mina,
I've seen you.
I don't do anything.
I've seen you.
But I'm very competent with music. I'm a master of music, actually, in terms of my understanding and reading about music. I'm very competent in rap, cricket, sports, generally speaking. But you will never find me doing anything else other than that. Mina nganywa izinto engizinganywayo. Engifunda ngazo, engimamela zona kuma interview and stuff like that. Into shaya machida sometimes shy in confidence. Sometimes not only that, but into shaya ukuthi they call people to come and audition for generations. I'm not an actor. I mean, I'm abantu for audition generations. I'm not an actor. Me and you, we've done our adverts.
Yes.
Yeah, but fortunately, when you've actually done acting, like, and it seems effortless for you. But I am not an actor. Yeah, but so I wouldn't go there. Mabesha my auditions, generations, or whatever, or Muvang, or whatever. But if it's something related to sports yes. music, and politics, because those things I read about all day, I'm a subject matter expert on those things, then I go there. So I've never, like, even at Sokala Duma or even the auditions at Radio Bonele, I mastered those things because it was related to sports. And also, I think, and I think you are finding this about yourself as well. The older you grow, man, like the more you know yourself. Yeah, but I think some of the things that happened to me happened at the right time. Mina kudala ngifuna uba umuntu okhuluma ngebhola, presenting shit. I wanted to be on radio and stuff like that. But those things only happened when I was 29. I was already old. I already had a house and stuff like that. I was already established, respected member of my community, already a coach, already a mentor to a lot of young kids. So those things happened really at the right time. So that also helps with the confidence. Yeah, but because I was not a kid. Many of the people that are making mistakes go YouTube, manje. Uzobona age profile yabo. Abantu abashaya ama podcast. When they make mistakes and they get sued, usually they are 21, 22, 23, most of the time. Because when you are 21, 22, 23, you're still finding yourself. But you are in your mid-30s. I'm 35 as well. You're approaching 40. We are old. You know what I'm saying? So we are confident this thing came to us at the right time.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and also the experience of doing it as well. But by the time I was doing auditions, I was already 27. I was too old. Exactly. Because usually, unothola ukuthi umuntu una 19, 20, uya presenter. Now, if I was presenting when I was 19 and 20, I would have made a lot of mistakes. But by the time I was 26, I mean, I've already listened to thousands of episodes on radio.
Yeah, Kuleko, you work under Sokala Duma. I know you are not a writer, as you said, but the experience on Sokala Duma,
sure.
You worked there. I think you were 26, 27 there. Watching football from that time and comparing with the standard now, as a journalist behind the scene, but working on the industry, football, in the media, Google
sure.
media company. How do you compare the standard now?
Yeah, I think we talk about this most of the time when we're watching the matches. And also we have Tso and yourself as well there. It's not the same, man. I think it's a different sport altogether. The younger guys, I don't think Ipola Gubo is our change bomba, but like there are a lot of players that I don't think this game that they are playing is going to change their lives. I think some of them, whether they are playing football or not, like Gibo, no mamake in like
it's a backup.
Yeah, but like they're happy. They're happy not to try. It's not the same thing. I mean, the football that we used to watch, Utukutuku, when we used to work with them, Utukutuku Makanya, he mentioned something very important that I keep on repeating as well. But it's this conversation, this is totally sort. Uguti, when in 1999, begunabo African Wanderers, gunabo Hellenic, gunabo Chiefs, Pirates, Sundowns, obviously. But then in every team, there were 4 good players. Every team. And then I remembered, Uguti, 195, David Modise ubamba league in the Cape Town Spurs. Now 194, twice, David Modise. And if you can go through that team in Cape Town Spurs, there's 4 decent players there, or 5 decent players. Abakokota go national team, but they will never play because Chiefs, Pirates, and Sundowns had great players. So those ones who are playing for smaller teams wouldn't play. Usiyabonga Nomvete, Sibusiso Zuma, UPMX, Upumlani Mkhize. It's a famous story that they were coming from African Wanderers. Abakulusi. 3 of them.
Usnotim Talan.
Yes, Usnotim Talan. When I was a kid, I saw him play against my club, Chiefs. And I'm like, this guy scored. He scored against my club. And I remembered him. When I was older, Bati Ushwanil, I didn't even know when I was a kid, out here Shonali. All I know is that when we were playing African Wanderers, when I was a kid, there was this guy, Usnotim Talan, who scored 1 or 2 goals against my team. Yeah, but so there were teams that had good players in every team. 4 good players. You could watch them. I remember I would watch Swallows playing against a random team, Free State Kwakwa Stars at that time. And you would watch a 5-4, like Sisanombe, all of those players, Jacob Licheto, George Licheto, all of these players that were playing in the smaller teams. Now, you can't watch the smaller teams now. Like literally, they are unwatchable. They are unwatchable, the smaller teams, because they don't have 4 or 5 good players. And even if, because the argument is that Sundowns is signing most of those good players, Sundowns can't have 100 players. You still, they can only have 30 players. They can only have 30 players. You still have the responsibility of scouting decent players. And I think it's a cultural shift as well, whereby Tina or Abazali Betu Baspana so that we get comfort, so that now, this current generation, they don't have to die so that the family can eat. I think many of those players, back then, some of them, they're middle class, so they don't have to lose a leg. Nina benyazi nabo so ukuthi lana mangabe ngashintsha isimo sasejardini, it's going to be tough. Because my mother is not working, babuya kubantu education. Now, the parents of these current players, some of them are sorted. So the players don't try hard enough. There's a clear difference in the quality. Sometimes we snook a game and you watch a game, the pattern of the game is like a V shape. From a center, kune V eteganja, whereby they play the ball wide to the wing back.
Most of the teams.
And then they play the ball right. Like it's a V shape, ideal midfield. But whereas when we were kids, the midfielder had the responsibility.
Special players in the middle.
Yeah, but they had to break. That's why I think about David Modise, who didn't even play for big teams before he joined Chiefs. Those players were good players back in the day. So, but I think also the context is that those players, they had their own situations to change. It's even weird. Like these players, the amount of money that they're paying now, some of them are on 100,000, 80,000. I think they should still be paid about 12,000. These current players, the quality of the football, they are supposed to be paid about 12,000 because it's a complete. And the ones who are deserving about 100,000 is generation about Pelenomvet. And even the 80s, the guys we never got to see, about teenage Lala, those were guys who were supposed to earn 100,000 because they needed to change their lives. These guys, it's a completely different football. And I always say to you that I don't think in 15 years we've seen a player like him. It takes that long for us to see a breakout star like that, a young child, like Indonena 17, who breaks out, who becomes young player of the season, who is a contender of player of the season. But we used to see those players, Nina, Aboskapi, Abojabu, Pirates, they had their own young players as well. Even Sundowns had Siponunens. You know what I'm saying? So we don't have that. We have those players once every 10 years. So it's a completely different ball game. And also, you've always mentioned this as well. Uguti, now, the teams are no longer scouting for players.
Yes.
There is a phone call that comes from somewhere to saying, Nalentwana le, nifuna defender, yebo sifuna defender, or nalentwana le, ibuye Zimbabwe, Malawi, wherever, even from South Africa. But it's a phone call. It's not the club. Like Uprache, Ujomo Sono is a national treasure. That guy, used to go to Mozambique, used to go to Malawi on a random trip, driving to those places and see players. He would see them with his own eyes and be like, I like that one. Tiko Bukwane has over 100 goals in the Premier Soccer League history. Tiko Bukwane. Esau Kanyende, even here, Open McCarthy, Mark Fish, all of these players came from Izandla Zikaprache. He never got a phone call whereby someone has an interest to sell this player. At I have this defender, he's very tall. You're looking for a tall defender? He's very tall, come and see him. Most of the time the clubs don't even see the player. Uprache, there was a point where players who somehow had something to do with their journey went through Prache Kala. And I think we need to bring that back. The ability to see players on our own. And yes, of course, the players will always need agents.
Database.
Yeah, but exactly. But the players will always need agents in terms of negotiator.
Yes.
But the agent cannot recruit for the clubs. I think that's wrong. And I think part of what is deteriorated our football is that it comes from that. Most of these clubs have not seen some of the players. They just signed them. And you can see it. There's a deterioration in quality here. I mean, how many times have we seen about Anthony Agay, Lincoln Svasia? I mean, it makes you have a headache. Like, what? So where did you see Thomas Sweswe? Thomas Sweswe, such that you decide he is good enough?
Yeah, as an international player, bringing him here.
Yeah, but so those kind of things, and it's not even an attack on an individual club. It's just the football has deteriorated. It is also the problem is that it's unwatchable. It's like I used to be obsessed with football, and I still watch sometimes the games, and it's like we are so like, why am I watching Magesi and Skukuna? Like, because sometimes they're not serious amongst each other. But then Magesi can beat Pirates in the Culling knockout, and then they beat Sundowns in the final. But then you can watch them 3 days later with Cheaper. They're not the same. Like, even that is a problem in terms of how the players take different football matches seriously. That they will bring their A game against a bigger side. And then when they play against one another, it's not watchable. We used to watch about Tembisa Classic. If you remember, Benoni Premier United, Onokwacha. That was a very, very good team. Very good team. Tsepo Masilela, he used to play Tsepo Masilela under 23 whilst he was playing National under 23 whilst he was playing for Benoni
Premier United.
No, Bernard Parker used to play National under 23 whilst he was playing for Benoni. Exactly.
Yeah.
They were watchable, those guys. Why do we know Benoni? Not because we love them, they didn't pay us. We know them because we used to watch them. We used to watch them.
Skillful, expressing themselves.
Even in Golden Arrows, there's a playoff game that they played. It was a fantastic. I can't remember who they played against. The day that they called them Abafana Best 10.
I think 7, Bashai IX 5.
Yes, that was the final. But Kona game Abaidala, be promoter. Maybe in 2001 or 2002, they beat someone. And Bakorang is 10. Like, it was such a fascinating thing. And you could see Amachita, Y2K, Sibego, all of the players that they were able. Maputi Kanyeza has over 100 goals in Premier Soccer League. He came from there, Abo Maputi Kanyeza. Kagiso Tikhachu played in the English Premier League for Crystal Palace. He came from there, Kagiso Tikhachu. So many players came from. Papi Zotwane became a national team player. He came from Golden Arrows. We could sit and watch smaller teams. And even the idea of small and big, it was not in our vocabulary. We're not talking about smaller teams. Besides, okay, they're not Chiefs, Pirates, and Sundowns, but we would watch them. We could watch them. But these guys are not watchable because you don't know what you're going to get. You can sit there and you will get a 2-1. Sometimes you can sit there and you will get a 0-0. It's like, but guys, even now, people are not motivated to go to the matches and watch the matches. But back in the day, you could hear Kwakwa Stars playing against Bloemfontein Celtic. It's a derby there in the province. Because it's a derby there in the province. When Ajax Cape Town broke through in Cape Town, they used to play against the Santos. It was a derby. There's interest from the people. It's like nowadays, football has distanced itself even from the people. There's a distance between abantu nepola because we started having this requirement. You have to play good facility eganje. So now we have to use World Cup stadiums. And then we have to travel 1 hour to that World Cup stadium. Poor people can't do that. Whereas David Tidiera Magafara, Black Leopards, Etoyando Stadium. Because it's a stadium, a jardin. Even Nemakulong, Tembisa, Kuyagcwala makudlala Highlands Park host the Pirates. We were there. We would watch those matches. Highlands Park hosting Chiefs because it's a walking distance. So now football is distancing itself from the people because it says to these clubs, you must play at a facility that is top class, stuff like that. Although we do need quality in terms of grass, ground, but you have to think you can't be too far away from the people.
Yeah, Nkululeko, I just want to find out, KHANYE mfethu, it's so inspiring and touching as well. You came to Joburg and the environment was a different environment, I believe.
For sure.
You starting at Diski TV, as you should know, you didn't have money, but then there was been petty content.
Yeah.
Yabo, and ngifuna ukwazi ukuthi what you were looking at from the human being. Yes, you knew ukuthi uJunior Sharp uzomthola.
Yeah.
Mhlawumbe umfana. Obviously, there was a repetition. Maybe when you came to me, we asked uJunior bekushaya ivar. Before, obviously, I can't lie, there's things that we did. But bopegeni, specific to the person ekumele uspane naye.
Yeah, I get your question. I think this is true for you and everyone else. For example, ngizoxoxela ngo-Ace. Ace, we really wanted to work with him as well. After, of course, we started iDiski, we were successful. But, and this is testament to you and how much you've changed your life. The matches are at 7 p.m., 7:30 on Saturday night. If we can't find you then, it's difficult. Even for you, I never told you this, but at the beginning, I was thinking that if angwazi ukuthola ngo-8 makudlala Chiefs ne-Super Sport or Sundowns, none, then there's not going to be a working relationship because you have to be at work at the time. And ispan sakho asikudingi ukuthi uvuke ngo-7 ekuseni uhambe uyophanda ubuye ngo-5. We work when the football match is started. That's our work. And then we shoot a 10, 15-minute video, and we are done. And I think for you, I'm very grateful that you found God. It's remarkable how that church gave you discipline. Because if we faker, like when we met in 2019, if you're faking anything about you and ZCC and you leaving Ipodlela alone, it was going to show itself because the way that we work is such that we need you on a weekend. We need you Friday, we need you Saturday, we need you Sunday. Same with Utso Villagas, that we can't work with anyone who we can't find on Saturday at 7 p.m. or 5 p.m. on Saturday. And that's the time abantu abaphuza ngalo. Ileso sikhathi lezo ziyabile ekasi.
Yes, true.
Yabo, ubumnandi buyaqala ekasi and all of that. And if you are faking your redemption story ukuthi sushintshile ibizovela because we wouldn't find you. Yabo. I think that for me that was the priority. Anything else esixabana ngayo nani
yes,
out like you can deal with that.
Yes, true.
You can deal with that. Ukuthi okay manje or whatever, but we can deal with that. But the part where there's a football game playing, it's 8 p.m. You have to be here sober. That's one way or another. If you are faking that lifestyle, or if so was faking it, so it's the same with Ulindo, Nobobo, and everyone, Machaga, everyone that we work with. It's the same expectation that you have to be at a certain place at a certain time. And the positive thing is that Monday to Friday, from 7 about Bastago traffic, you're not affected by that. Your job just wants you on Wednesday, sometimes Tuesday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Just come when there's a game. You work 2.5 hours, we are done. All I need you is for that 2.5 hours, 90 minutes of the game, shooting a video, we are done. So for me, from a personal perspective, I needed that from you. I never had to say that to you, but it's something that you're observing. Okay, it's like even in a relationship.
Never put pressure in us as well.
Yeah, but in a relationship, the first thing I look for is into beyikhona la eJarden ukuthi ugogo wami bekaphuza umama uyaphuza manje. I don't look for a woman who drinks because I know what comes with that. Like I already know. Like even when I'm looking for someone in a relationship, that's the requirement. They don't smoke, they don't drink because I know where I come from. These people never even cared about their children and their schooling and all of that. And I've accepted that. I'm not angry about that. That was the family that I got. You can't choose your family. But for my children, I'm looking for someone who doesn't drink, someone who doesn't smoke. So even when it comes to working, I know that I'm looking for something like that, because drinking comes with unreliability most of the time. Based on my experience with my family, I mean, even my mother and my grandmother. My grandmother used to work as surgery. Surgery is like you work for a doctor, you clean, and the other people are assistants at doctor on a surgery. People will come there, whatever the problems they have, the surgeon will help them, the doctor will help them, give them a prescription or a medication. Back in the day, there were no prescriptions. Pills or something. Yes. My mother and my mother took over from my grandmother. Both of them had the same problem. When they get paid, they don't go to work. That's how my mother lost that job. My grandmother did that job maybe for 10 years. Naye bekanenkinga yokuthi ayemsebenzini ebuhlabile. Yeah, so that actually was sort of like a training of what to expect when you are working with people who drink. Now, I'm not saying that people mustn't drink. People do drink. But the kind of job that we do, we have to be in front of the camera.
So my mind.
Exactly. Because when we are drunk, people will know.
And then to the repetition.
Exactly. Then the people won't come back again because we are drinking. Yeah, but so the training I got from coming from a really fucked up family was that I then know what to look out for. Even in a relationship, in a working relationship, I'm like, we can't work with someone if we can't rely on them on a weekend. So I think I have to say this, that whoever spoke to you, ngesonto lase-ZCC, ngalolu suku lolu langa lelo, ukuthi Junior, there is this church, we turn the corner, uzosithola laphayana, we need you there. Because I think the guidance that you got from there, I don't know how to thank the church for that. Because I think you needed that kind of organization, and you needed that kind of into zokutshela ukuthi akumelanga, because we eat sinokudla sithenga ukudla. Awuyidli inyama sometimes not. Sometimes for 5 years or for 3 years I haven't seen you. Angisho ukuthi masendini awuyidli, mara when we are together, you don't drink. You udlubisi nesinkwa, brown bread and milk. That is a great level of discipline. Like it's remarkable that a church can make someone do that. And now amungela ukuthi no, eating is and then you can see ukuthi there's blessings that come from this. I do a reality TV show. I'm on Diski TV. I'm the most popular, most viewed analyst because. Maybe it has to do with lento ukuthi ngiyamamela lapha. Yabo. So now you can link it to ukuthi there are tangible things ezenzakala empilweni yakho. Maybe it's because you listen to that church. Yabo. And that church tells you to sacrifice certain things that you like about yourself with women and this and that. I'm not saying in your own time you don't do certain things, but I'm saying the discipline. If you are faking it, because we've been working for 6 years, if you're faking that. So I have to be grateful for that. Just to answer your question, Uguti, what am I looking for in a person? For me, when we were working together, we could find you at 7 p.m. at night on Saturday. We could find, if you notice, Nkululeko now, any other time. I don't call you, all I need you guys is for that time, that small time that we pay you for, because I don't want to bother you in your own time. I don't want to bother you in your own time, because now I used to work. I don't want to be bothered in my own time. So I'm very grateful to the church for giving me you. Like it's when I look back in my life, this will be the most prosperous period of my life. Where when I'm 50, oh wow, I had a good life. It will be the best 5-6 years of my life, financially and even being known by people and all of that. And it's all because you listen to the church.
Nkululeko, you've changed my life, my brother. I have to thank you for that. You've changed my life. It's so emotional. You've changed my life. Now my thought football, it's my life, playing wise. But when I check, the things I'm doing now is so crazy.
Yeah.
They think football.
You are more famous now than when you were playing football.
And thank you. I need you for you. You are one of the bengitshela le awuthi yami ehleli ngale behind the scene umusa ngithile awuthi le mhlambe South Africa is underrated yabo. Mina ngikwazi ukufika iproblem yami. Ngithema ngikhula futhi especially mangiwela kuNkulunkulu yabo. I think wafika even nezipho zakho zizodonsa inyawo. Namala ngiphila bazowathatha into engingathi mangifika kule sonto ngayithola. You can't lie here. I don't point at other churches. NoNkulunkulu abayifundile. With you, you're one person that is very dedicated. You are a business person. You are so successful. You've changed so many people's life. So I know it's so fine me there with Diski TV. You brought me there. We work about 2 years, 1 year, 8 months, or so came. And you've changed those life as well. Who I am to talk for also, but I have to say you've changed it. Let me put it this way: you're changing pillows abantu abaningi mfethu. And you are so successful as a business person. Diski Time is a newspaper that you own by you and Jason. I'm a brand ambassador for Sport Betting today. You are the one.
By the way, I wanted to say, sorry to cut you. Dear World Sports Betting, please give me money also. I have 100,000 Facebook followers. Please also give me money as well. And also every other sponsor that's watching, please also give us money. Thank you.
You've changed my life, Jobang Shilo. I'm a brand ambassador of World Sport Betting. I know good in Nesandla for that, which is Yenzege. And my brother, it's so emotional. How does it feel? As a business person, changing pillows abantu makunotsoda. Now there's Lindo Pep just came and Bobo. Machaka is there. There's Shane, Junior Kanye, a person that was written off.
Yeah.
How does ngifuna feel kanjani, my brother, and looking at your family, where you come from, and having a beautiful house in Sentin. I know mina endlini yakho ifamily yakho ngiyazi uyitreata kanjani. I know how une support kanjani ngefamily yakho. I know your kids the way batreata ngakhona. And how does it feel, Nkululeko, for you as a business person?
Yeah, I think as a human being, Junior, there are times when I think that if I was meant to die when I'm 40 or 35, I'm 35 now, if bekumele ukuthi ngishone kusasa, I'll be satisfied. Angisho ukuthi ngifuna ukushona, mara as you are saying, the lives that you change and the impact that you make, if I was meant to die young, I will be satisfied. I'm going to do a lot of other dope things, like a lot of things that are great for myself. I'm going to shoot movies and stuff like that. I'm going to do a lot of great things. I'm going to write cartoons, strips and stuff like that. In my own time, I do those things, like write things down. But if I don't get to do those things, because now it's just an adventure, I do things that I like now. Between now and the rest of my life, I'm doing things that I like. If I don't get to do them, something happens to me. I'm not saying something will happen to me. I'm just saying if it were to end tomorrow, I'll be content. I'm like, okay, most people don't want to die at 35 because they have things that they want to achieve. I do think that I have made a decent contribution. It's not enough because, of course, you still have to, like, xa unikwe amandla nguThixo, unokwasebenzise, touch abantu abayi-5, then touch abantu abayi-50, touch abantu abayi-1,000, and so on and so forth. When you get that blessing to be able to help, to be able to see things, to come up with things, yeah, but if anything could happen, I would still be content. There are a lot more things that I would like to do. That's why I'm saying, even I said earlier that I want to go back to my community. I want to actually have a football club in my community, like a big football club. I know there would be 20,000 people. If we were playing there, Ikaslam, there would be 20,000 people who watch a PSL team from there. Maybe that's a dream if I were to ever have money to do that. But when I look at what you've been able to achieve yourself, what Saul has been able to achieve, and I think you make a very good point about the family. I think when you look at the health of your family really is very important. Sometimes uyakwazi ukuba ngumuntu odumileyo, waziwa ngabantu ngaphandle, but uhlukumeza umfazi. Yabo. Or the house that you live in is filth, not like it's filthy where you live. If you look at I look at my daughter, I'm like, you're so healthy. I was not healthy when I was her age because there was no food, there was nothing where I used to live. You are so healthy that even if that was the only thing I contributed to the world, that's good. But then there's yourselves, there's the iDiski media, there's a lot of things that we've been able to impact, and I'm grateful for that. And I think that I wouldn't. It's like, bruh, I've done what I needed to do. Now I'm just doing extra things. You know, sometimes when someone is going through a very difficult thing, because some part of it from deep within, or whatever, I still need to do things and stuff like that. I think I've done not everything. I want to do dope things. I want to shoot movies. I want to do creative things. I want to go and learn music at university again and be able to play music and write notes. But if anything were to happen, I'm content. Especially with you, bro. Like I'm like, I was sent here to just give you a through pass. Now you were sent here because I also earned through you. You were sent here to give me the through pass. I gave you the through pass. You shot, scored a goal, and you gave me a through pass as well. I scored a goal. I would not have bought that house where it is had we not met each other. We would have had a media company normal, but because it exploded. Like the media company, it exploded. So I'm content, bro. When I look at you, I'm content. And then what you're doing with your kids as well. with your. I remember when I saw your mother the first time. Like, I'm looking at her, I'm like, damn, like, because Mama Ako is very protective of you because she's seen you with different kinds of people.
Yes.
Some people wanted to take advantage and stuff like that. When I met her the first time, when I went to your sister's wedding, when I see your mother randomly, you can see on the face, she doesn't have to tell me. She's grateful that bekasaphila makakubona wena ushintsha impilo yakho. She was still alive when it happened. In a 5-year period, she could see it. 5 years ago, she could see things are not going well. Before you met the church, maybe you're still drinking. Because it hurts the mother when that happens, the parent. Then 5 years, it was like a dream, a movie. 5 years, you've improved the house, you've upgraded, electric fans, different cars, all of that. On TV, she was also on TV with you. Then whenever I see her face to face, she doesn't have to tell me anything. I can see in her eyes, ukuthi she's content. She didn't have to be 70 or 80 years old to see that. She's still young enough to see, ukuthi, no, my child became successful.
Yeah, Nkululeko, thanks. I think we've said mouthful. Again, thank you. I know that you're a busy person, and for you honoring this, it's so humbling and touching.
Sure.
For
Which
me,
team did you grow up supporting?
Yeah, Kaizer Chiefs.
I don't believe you.
No, Kaizer Chiefs.
I don't believe you.
Why?
I think you followed Pirates.
No, Chiefs.
Yeah, I
went there and go and watch.
So which team were you supporting that day when you were a child? Uhamba train, a steamer.
Chiefs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's this perception like it's like Sundowns. No, it's not Sundowns. Maybe I grew up supporting Chiefs.
Oh, people.
Yeah.
No, they're doing well.
Yeah, you have to compliment them when they're doing well.
We are at semi-final last year, AFCON because of them. And I'm sorry, man, they're doing well. Unfortunately, yes, Sundowns, Pirates, now they came close. Now we have a compliment still.
Yeah.
But
it's been a great season for Pirates.
Yeah.
I like what they've been able to do. I just wish that if they fall short, number 2, qhubekani ke momentum. You challenge.
Yes, exactly.
You challenge.
Even if you fail this year, next year.
Qhubekani momentum.
Exactly.
Mabekhula bonkotha they 10-21. Abomufukeng they 10-21 next year. Bayakhula maswangani qhubekani ke. Add a few more players. Qhubekani ke. And then maybe next year it could be it. If it doesn't happen this year, it looks like it's going to be difficult with those games in hand. Qhubekani ke sizosifika next year. Everyone must understand ukuthi siqala season with Pirates versus Sundowns. We know ukuthi kulwa laba. Anyone else who comes in is a surprise, but those two, they must continue that fight. It's a good thing for South African football.
Yeah, and national team, right? It can be easy for you
Absolutely.
to process it. Yeah.
Yeah,
because losing Umshishi, I figure fit in like it even Mfana I maintain well done to him. Big taking that penalty that way, it tells me confident Mfana go. But Nkululeko Sasha, I thank you, man. Yeah, I won't stop thanking you. And thank you, good to
we must do something, sorry. I wish someone can clip this as well. We must do something on radio. As me and you, we have great chemistry. We have great chemistry. The problem we have is that we don't have an agent to sell us on radio. Me and you, we used to have a show. Me and you and so, we used to have a show.
And Massive
Metro. That show used to be listened to by 50,000 people every week. There is no reason why Kaya FM doesn't speak to me and you to have a sports show there. Me and you and so, we can bring the team along. We will still have, now it's even worse, iDiski TV has close to 1 million people following it every week. There is no reason why me and you are not on radio. Massive Metro, Kaya FM, Power, whoever it is, we will bring 100,000 people to listen to us on the show. We had a great radio show. If you are an agent and you want to broke that deal, you can do it. You get your 10%. We get our show on radio. We've been looking to do that.
Mina indaba ngiyakwazi ukuthi mhlawumbe abantu they thinking I'm faking isipanela abantu abaningi ayinkululeko mfethu it's a gift man. Bengikhalela leyo uthi amendleleni. Mhlawumbe people they think ukuthi they don't know how mina ngibone intelligence. I've learned a lot my brother from you and I'm still going to humble myself. Irrespect uNkulunkulu angisize nabasekhaya ngibonga ne direction kaChrist. To humble myself in front of you ukuthi ngazi space some when I work with you I don't get carried away.
Sure.
I thank you mfethu. I thank you a lot. Thanks to Jason as well.
Uyayivuma le 10% le agent. Ngisifakele itrupasi yami now.
Akeze sihlale nayo phansi.
We must find someone to get us a job on radio.
Yeah, mari 10% ya mina ngina problem.
Oh, it's 10%. We have 0 now.
Yeah.
Mangabe radio station nginikeza 40,000, nami nginikeza 40,000. we take maybe 8,000 sinikeza le
Yeah,
agent.
akuna problem. As long ingwenya njoba ngisho. Ingeke ivume bese makumele kuhlalwe phansi bale. No Nkululeko.
No, they will pay us directly.
Yeah.
Tina sizibhatalela yona agent.
No Nkululeko, we've been talking about this.
Yeah.
Khumbula we spoke with no. There's I feel it doesn't make sense ukuthi singabi ne radio show.
We
But
had
I
a
get
huge audience.
uyibhale phansi Nkululeko. Angithi le yamba nale yami ikephi semhlophe le igcoka kanje khona into ezoyenza. Nalezi khona lezi heavy kakhulu zamba zonke.
As long
Khona
as
into
umvume
ezoyenza.
10%, umvume, ungashintshi.
Hayi no.
So
I'm
if someone
keen.
helps us get to that slot, I don't know anyone. I'm just putting it out there to the world. Someone will see this.
I'm keen.
Okay, so 10% is yours.
Yeah, Nkululeko nyabonga mfethu again. Thank you.
There you go. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for inviting me.
Thanks. Ebafethu no so humble is really ngenye yambela. Namhlanje bengiphethe picture yende mfethu. Mina le ngihlonipha kakhulu. Bafethu siyabonga. Don't forget again ngakhohlwa. Press #bet with the best #WSP. Hayi namanje mfana save it. I'm out. Namanje on.
There you go. Thank you guys.